The South African government has invited public comment on the draft revised white paper on citizenship, immigration and refugee protection with a deadline of 31st January 2026.
Nizwile, government has published the draft revised white paper on citizenship, immigration and refugee protection, and they have invited us, the public, to review it and make our submissions.
This will give South Africans the opportunity to put forward their thoughts on what they think that the white paper on citizenship, immigration and refugee protection should be.
Do you know what that means? It means we have an opportunity to influence the outcome if this government genuinely listens to us. Let's talk about it.
And to do this and do it effectively, Princy, Mthombeni and the team of South African for Constitutional Reforms have stepped forward with a very brilliant, bold idea. They are collecting signatures, engaging citizens, and demanding that the white paper on immigration and asylum finally puts South African first.
Hi guys, my name is Princy Mthombeni Umaduma, a co-founder of South Africans for Constitutional Reform. I want to explain to you what this paper says, what it gets right, and where it fails to deal with realities on the ground.
Now, the question is based on 4 thematic areas. Number 1, has South African asylum system been abused? Are South Africans being pushed to the back of the queue in their own country? And why is the government policy failing to protect jobs, services, and national dignity?
The white paper covers immigration visas, asylum seekers, refugees, permanent residents, and citizenship. In simple terms, it decides who can enter South Africa, who can stay, who can work, and who can ultimately become a citizen. While there are changes worth acknowledging, government is trying to fix Home Affairs system through digitization and better systems. Immigration, asylum, and citizenship are brought into a single framework. Skills-based visas are introduced. The white paper also introduces the first safe country principle and admits Uguti asylum system has been abused. Those are good admissions, but of course, admissions are not solutions. South Africa is facing extreme unemployment. Millions of South Africans, especially young people, cannot find work. Yet, what we see in reality is large-scale economic immigration happening through the asylum system and weak visa controls. People enter this country as asylum seekers and end up working indefinitely, not because they are fleeing war or persecution, but because South Africa has become an easier option. We have to be fair, guys. South Africa cannot be the refugee camp or job market for the entire world, especially when its own people are struggling to survive. And I have to be clear, South Africans are not xenophobic. We just want order. Compassion without control is not kindness, it is chaos. The white paper does not confront this honestly enough. It does not clearly prioritize South African workers. It does not draw the line between scarce skills and ordinary jobs in an economy under severe strain. The pressure doesn't stop with jobs. It shows up in public clinics and hospitals where nurses are overwhelmed, in RDP housing waiting lists that stretch for decades, and in overcrowded public schools. You cannot integrate people who have nothing into communities that already have nothing and act shocked when there's anger, tension, and sometimes violence. That is not compassion. That is policy failure. On asylum, the white paper acknowledges abuse and introduces the first safe country principle. But it remains vague on enforcement. Acknowledging a principle on paper is meaningless if it's not applied in practice. Asylum must be temporary protection for people in real danger, not a long-term workaround to live and work in South Africa. The white paper talks a lot about integration, but it does not seriously deal with capacity. It also avoids one of the biggest realities on the ground. There are millions of people who are already in this country illegally, and the document is not clear on what government plans to do about that. Silence is not a plan.
The Google form, according to Princy, is not just a form. It is a referendum of frustration, pain, and patriotism. And as such, every South African should put in her input so that it will be factored and collated by 26th of January and then submitted to the government before the end of 31st January 2026.
That's why as SACR, we are proposing a clear guiding principle that we believe must be written into this policy. Our proposed wording is simple. All immigration, asylum, permanent residence, and citizenship statuses are privileges granted in the national interest and are conditional on continued compliance with the laws and constitutional order of South Africa. Without this clarity, enforcement will always fail. We also say asylum must return to its original purpose: temporary protection for people fleeing real danger, not a long-term alternative to economic migration. Now, that's where the first safe country principle should be enforced in practice, not just mentioned in policy. On visas, we propose clear objective grounds for revocation, such as fraud, misrepresentation, criminal conduct, or actions that threaten public order or the national interest. In many countries, visas are conditional and can be withdrawn. So, South Africa must not feel afraid to govern itself. Now, let me address our government. Public participation must not be treated as a box-ticking exercise. South Africans are paying attention and they expect their concerns to be taken seriously. The white paper is open for comments until the 31st of January 2026. Tina, as SACR, we are busy preparing a formal submission. But we don't want to do it alone. We want to carry the voices of South Africans with us. That's why we have created a Google form. Please check the link in my bio. You can do two things when you get there. If you want to share your views in your own words, you can do so. But if you don't feel like writing anything, you can simply sign the Google form, authorizing SACR to submit on your behalf. That signature will count as part of a petition supporting stronger, clearer immigration laws. Now, our submission deadline, SACR submission deadline, is 26 January 2026. This will give us enough time to compile all public inputs and submit one consolidated submission. If you want your voice included, please don't wait until the last minute. So if you believe that immigration laws affect your job prospect, your public health care facilities, your public schools, your communities, or your sense of what South Africa should be, then this is your moment to speak. Don't stay silent and complain later. Remember what I said. Compassion without control is not kindness. It's chaos. Thank you for watching.
Today in this video, we break down exactly what SACR is demanding, why the signatures are being collected, and why this movement could shape the future of South African borders, citizenship, and sovereignty. Stay with me, and if it's your first time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Now let's get into the video. So these are the following reforms that the South Africans for Constitutional Reform, SACR, led by Princy Mthombeni, are advocating for it to be included in the white paper. Now, number one, they are saying that they should put South African first. And so they should make the constitution and immigration policy explicitly prioritize citizens' rights and access to jobs and services. And so SACR frames the core demand for defending citizenship and ensuring national resources, opportunities, and services to citizens first. So the first demand of SACR, they are saying that in the new white paper, South Africans should be placed first. They should make the constitution and immigration policy explicitly prioritize citizens' rights and access to jobs and services in South Africa. In short, SACR frames the core demand as defending citizenship and ensuring that the national resources and opportunities serve South African citizens first. That is the first demand. Now, demand number two is that they want the white paper to tighten and clarify asylum rules so that the asylum system cannot be abused as an economic migration route. In short, they want clearer limits and stronger screening so people who are not genuine refugees do not gain semi-permanent access to the labor market via asylum. Because most South Africans believe that people are using the asylum route to come to South Africa to have job and better opportunities instead of the purpose it was creating for, that is helping people in war zone and in distress. So they want this also clarified. They also want immigration policy to be merit and skills focused for long-term residence and citizenship. In short, SACR support prioritizing scarce and critical skills and making ordinary employment less easy to gain via loose visa asylum route so that South African workers are protected. And this, they say, aligns with proposals in the DHA draft white paper that introduce skills-based pathway. So that is also on that. Now, the next one is that they want an overhaul of home affairs operation and systems. In short, there should be accountability and digitalization and enforcement. Not only that, they should include all of them and encompass everything together. In short, they are calling for structural reforms in the Department of Home Affairs so that they can get stronger border accountability, better system, including digitalization and removal, plus the overhaul of all the broken promises. Again, is that they want stronger border control and document verification And they should also add penalties for failures. So SACR also want more robust ID with document checks at entry point and accountability where airlines, border officials, or institutions fail to verify travelers properly. They should be sanctioned heavily to deter them. And they also want to rehash that, they apply a safe country, which is a reasonable country principle where appropriate. And the group notes that the white paper references principles like the safe third country and want these used to reduce inappropriate asylum claims. So they are in support of that. They are supported, but they want it enforced to work well. How is it going to be enforced? When somebody omits a safe country and reaches South Africa, how is the enforcement going to be? They want that also to be clear. Now, they also want the government to tighten pathways to permanent residence and citizenship, and also a review of people who are already in the system. Some time back, a lot of peoples have used that route, enter South Africa, marry South African women, and now are enjoying citizenship in South Africa. Some even already have their passport. They are saying that they want the government to review that so that people who entered illegally can all be fished and cleared out of the system. So SACR is pushing for stricter criteria and clearer pathways so that citizenship isn't perceived as too easily or wrongly granted. And that is also with that one. Then they are also demanding for public participation and people-led consolidated submission. Now, practically, they are collecting signatures and people's lived reality input to compile a consolidated submission and request oral presentation to Parliament Constitutional Review Committee. So that's what they are doing. Now they have signatures, they are compiling signatures of South Africans so that they can have, that representation of South Africans, not that we've done it, bring your input, individuals, and people don't know how to write, people do not even understand the process. They want the process to be understood so that people can do that. So in short, they are doing this to ensure that South Africans are properly represented in the new updated white paper, so that some people don't go and sit somewhere and then decide for the whole of South Africans. And I think this is a step in the right direction, because when I personally make videos, I see people come comment under it and like, how do I do it? We've not seen it on TV. Well, so people are confused. And that is where people like Princy in Mthombeni, come into the picture and are helping. And let me say that this video is a rehash of what Princy in Mthombeni is advocating. Now, Princy in Mthombeni is an energy expert and also an advocate who is helping that South Africans can be presented properly in the new updated white paper, which is being worked on. And then residents of South Africans, their input are being invited. Instead of going individually where people don't understand, she's advocating that people come and sign her input that she has done with all the things that she thinks that comes around and will prioritize South Africans first. So she's the one I'm doing this video for. So I'm going to tag the document. You can just tag on the document in the description, and then you can, submit it. If you submit, it goes to her straight. It's an addition to what she has done. Let me state that it is just her document that I've copied and I'm going to post in the description so that you can also enter, and then you can just go. And then if you're a South African, please, it's for South Africans only. It's for South Africans only. So the process is going to come. Alternatively, you can also go to her page. Now, her page is on Princy in Mthombeni, yes, and then on TikTok, and I think all social media handles. Follow her, the details, and then tag the document if you're a South African, and then you enter, your input. If you want additional things to add to the document, you add it, and then you'll be good to go. My name is Kweku Africa, and this is supporting South Africans put together a very good white paper that will benefit South Africans. It's a wrap for today.